If you want insight into how I keep up with everything happening in the news, stick around until the end of this video for an important offer from Ground News. He just can't help himself. And I don't mean that in the way that people say, oh, it's out of his control. I'm saying that the racism that is within him must come out. Donald Trump yesterday was on a panel with the National Association of Black Journalists where Rachel Scott of ABC and Harris Faulkner, for some inexplicable reason, I don't know why she would be at a gathering of journalists, Harris Faulkner from Fox News, and Kadia Goba of Semaphore. They were all there to ask Donald Trump questions because he's the nominee for the Republican Party. One thing I don't understand is why he would accept the invitation thinking that it was going to move the needle or he was going to sway some voters when all it did was highlight the deeply rooted racism that just squeezed itself out of every fucking pore in his body. I don't even know where to begin here. I've got pages. After the thing, he posted this on True Social. The questions were rude and nasty, often in the form of a statement, but we crushed it. Yeah, you crushed it if your goal was to out yourself once again, time after time after time after time, as a virulent, fearful racist, Donald Trump. And he's still going on True Social right now. This is from 9:56 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. Thank you, Kamala, for the nice picture you sent from many years ago. Your warmth, friendship, and love of your Indian heritage are very much appreciated. What is he doing? She is of Indian heritage, and she's black. Two things can't exist at the same time, you fucking weirdo. You are of German and Scottish ancestry, Donald Trump. You come from a long line, a deeply rooted lineage of cowards. But we accept you as both things, Donald Trump. A racist and a rapist. That's your heritage. That's your lineage, Donald Trump. So I have two clips I'm going to play. I have two clips. Every single question could be turned into a video, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to handle the very first two things that happened. He was late getting there. He was scheduled to be there for an hour, and his team yanked him off the stage in fewer than 40 minutes. We're going to start with both questions from Rachel Scott. And it just went off the rails right away. If you ask him to account for his disgraceful racist past, the statements that he's made, the actions that he has said, the things that he's done, he is offended by that. That's a very rude and nasty. You didn't even say hello. There was no introduction. You just started asking me about my racism. I can't abide that. Anyway, watch this. I'm sure you've seen it, but we will talk about this on the other side.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that, and let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
She brings up having dinner with a Nazi. That should be disqualifying in and of itself. If there was one thing that Donald Trump has done, and that's have dinner on a holiday in his home with Nick Fuentes, that's enough of a disqualifier for an American president. But he can't abide the question. How dare you ask me about having dinner with a Nazi in my home? How dare you? That's a nasty question. And then he proceeds to say that he's the best president for black people. Black. Why do you have to pronounce it like that, dipshit? It's black people. Black. China. He always puts the extra emphasis on it. You, sir, will be gracious, sir, are not the greatest president of anything. You're probably not even the most racist president we've had. As much as you want to be the most and the best and the greatest and the whatever, you are not. And you certainly haven't done some phenomenal job for black Americans. If there was some ancillary benefit that trickled down from your tax cuts to rich people and the fact that the economy had a little bit of a bump, that was all just a continuation of the Obama administration carrying us out of the mire and the deep recession that we were in because of the George W. Bush administration. Let's give you a little bit of that. But this is just an attack on a black journalist for having the temerity and the professionalism to ask a question about Donald Trump's deeply rooted racist past. Questioning the citizenship, the loyalty, the legitimacy of a black president in Barack Obama. And now doing the same shit again. Second clip continues exactly where the first one left off.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
Give me a
definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of that.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
a
very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't. because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
and
you believe that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some.
I didn't know she was black until she happened to turn black. She was Indian all the way, this fucking idiot says. And then all of a sudden, she made a turn. She became a black person. And I think somebody should look into that. Again, Donald Trump has a multiplicity of different European heritage in his blood. I do. This is common for her to have an Indian mother and a black father, a Jamaican man. But where's the confusion? You see, there is no confusion. The confusion is feigned because they want Americans to question her legitimacy, her Americanness. Because to right-wing Republicans, these racist white Christian nationalists, those two things cannot exist. True Americanness cannot coexist with blackness. Because they are vile white supremacists. Their ideology needs to be eradicated. As much as Donald Trump talks about immigrants poisoning the blood of our nation, it is white Christian nationalism that is doing that. The poisoning our culture. And look, I'll leave you with this. One more thing. I know this is going to be longer than it should be. Even his emissaries now, because he left there and he went to Pennsylvania for a rally. And Alina Habba, just the gross, vile racist that she is, got on stage before he spoke and said this, calling into question whether Kamala Harris knows her roots, kind of bragging about, I know who my roots are. I know what my lineage is. And let me tell you, for white viewers out there who don't think about these things, you can do 23andMe. You can do a genealogy chart and go back like I have done. Before the American Revolution, I had relatives fight in the American Revolution. A lot of black folks in America cannot do that because white people kidnapped them from their fucking homes and took them here to be property. So for Alina Habba to get on a stage and act like a vile, racist piece of garbage, bragging, I know what my roots are. Do you know what your roots are, black lady? It's reprehensible. It's disqualifying. And Donald Trump, rather than apologize, rather than acknowledge and order his surrogates and people who speak before him at rallies, don't go there. This is gross. This is inappropriate. This is disgusting. This is disunifying. Instead of that, he does this. Because all he wants to do is call into question the legitimacy, the qualifications, and the Americanness of Kamala Harris. Because she's not white. Because she's black. She didn't become black. She didn't decide to be black. See, for too many black Americans, it's you're either not black enough or you're too black. And Donald Trump wants it both ways.
I am a strong woman, a mom, a lawyer, and an American. And unlike you, Kamala, I know who my roots are. I know where I come from. And I don't play around with the Constitution.
I hope this pissed you off like it pissed me off. There is no place for this, not just in America, but in any civilized society across the globe. This is gross. It's dangerous and damaging, and all it does is serve to signal to the racist base that we're your team. Anyway, what do you think? You can call voicemail 714-576-4054. You can email me daily@dollemore.com. You can leave a comment below. That would be great. Let's talk about this. That's it. Anyway, stick around. Check out this offer. You want to support this channel, stick around, watch this offer from Ground News, and take advantage. It will absolutely help support this channel. I love and appreciate you very much. Be genuine. Take care of one another. I recently posted a video about Judge Cannon dismissing Trump's classified documents case. Look, it's easy to feel helpless being faced with discordant news and headlines like this. I know the feeling. Trust me, I know the feeling. But look, we're not in a position in our country or indeed our world where a single one of us can tune out. We need to stay in this political fight. And the best way to do that is to stay informed. One incredible tool I use is Ground News, a completely apolitical and independent app and website that gathers related articles from across the political spectrum. Ground News allows readers to compare coverage to see who is spinning what narrative to their own end. Knowledge is power, right? It's not just a saying. So you had better empower the information you're getting with Ground News. Scan the QR code below or go to ground.news/Dollemore right now to score 40% off their Vantage plan, which allows you unlimited access. Ground News gives you a summary of each news story showing where the left, center, and right have focused their reporting, along with a visual representation of each news outlet's political bias, their funding, and thus their credibility. You can then compare coverage with full insight on any bias twisting the story. But you can take it even deeper. With their blind spot feed, Ground News sheds light on important news that's receiving insufficient coverage from both the left and the right, which is something I try to do on this very show. You cannot change something if you're not aware of it. Empower the information you are getting by heading to ground.news/Dollemore or just scan my QR code below to save 40% off the exact same unlimited access Vantage plan that I use for this show. By signing up, you'll be supporting not one, but two independent platforms working to make media more transparent. Ground News and the Dollemore Daily. Empower your knowledge with Ground News.